Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Raceface F4s, and it's Season 1 for the F4s at Oran Park. My name is Stephen Koenig, and joining me in the box, well, through radio comms, because he's actually going to be in the car, Yaneman Press. Yaneman, how are you doing this evening, and are you excited? F4 open wheel action, Oran Park. We saw some crazy racing going on with the TCRs. Now we're moving on to something a little bit different in terms of open wheel racing. The return of open wheels here to Raceface, not only with our F1 that's been going on, but now moving on to our F4s. So we're starting to step it up. Maybe we're going to have F3s, F2s at some point.
Good evening, Stephen. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, branching out. I'm looking forward to this race. Oran Park, not the easiest of tracks in the F4. And as you say, I'm sounding a little bit different tonight. That's because I'm actually in the rig and I'm on the headset. I'm going to drive the car and see how it all works out.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting one. I think we're in for a fantastic time here at Oran Park. But we've also got to go and talk about our new sponsor jumping in. We have got Adendorff Machinery, Mart and Tools jumping in with some fantastic prize online. A professional grade toolbox with tools all inside. And just mind-blowing. If you ever walk into a store and you go and see how much a good set of tools are, you would fall out of your chair. Our championship, our winner, will receive new sets of tools given to them in this. Plus, we have a mystery prize, which will be chosen by the driver, will be chosen by the panel. We're going to get more information as the race, well, as the season continues. But 2 heats and this phenomenal action here to come at Oran Park. I mean, it's just absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Cars heading out on track for the practice session. Not a lot of time left before we hit qualifying. And then it's race time. 2 races tonight. So we're going to do it twice. And let's see what happens around this tight and twisty figure-8 circuit of Oran Park.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. And, yeah, as you said, the time running out. There's a 5-minute hold for the drivers to jump into the practice, and then they'll be going into singles racing. So at the moment we do have a bit of a barren track out in front of us. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, get ready for some phenomenal racing here at Oran Park. But Yaneman, take us through. What's your thoughts?
Well, Stephen, I don't think turn 1 is going to be the issue, but turn 2 at Oran Park, basically a hairpin. You know, you arrive at it at such speed and you need to slow the car down around a turn, around turn 1. You need to start slowing the car down already. Otherwise, you're not going to make turn 2. It's a place where you can easily lose the rear end of the car. This is a very tight and narrow circuit, and yeah, we all know these are not big cars, but I think it's going to make for some very close racing tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, and we got to remember that this is one of the few tracks in the world that actually has a bridge that crosses over itself. Oran Park, unfortunately, one of the circuits that did not make it through the years. It didn't stand the test of time, despite an absolutely amazing history. But taking a look at the driver listing, we do have roughly about 19 to 20 drivers all jumping into these single seaters to have a bit of fun, to go for the championship, go for the prizes. We got 2 20-minute heats that the drivers are going to have to contend with to really push themselves to the line. A new champion will be crowned at the end of it, running on a bi-weekly basis. It's got to be absolutely fantastic. I see that Lewis Nokia has jumped in and says, have a good race, guys. It's definitely going to be it. And Lewis, just taking a look. I don't see you in the car, but hopefully we will get you in soon enough. And a big thank you to Adendorff for going and sponsoring an amazing prize on the line for all. And I've got to say, I'm properly looking forward to this. And where it's going to go, well, we can only find out as time goes on. So, ladies and gentlemen, you'll also notice that something looks a bit different. We do have our qualifying at the moment, and we'll say good luck to Jan Price, who is out on circuit. So, good luck, Jan. We'll have a chat to you
No,
later.
thank you. I'll chat to you later, Stephen.
What I'm going to do is just mute his mic up for the stream and also mute mine so we don't go and drive him around the twist. But you can see a couple of the guys getting ready to make their way around the circuit. The Formula 4 is the official FIA Formula 4 in iRacing. So it is to the absolute T how it's been scanned. Power is all the same. There is absolutely no difference compared to the real one and the one currently that you see out on the circuit the guys are going to be using. So keep an eye out on it as we watch our drivers make their way around the circuit. Couple of people trying to get a few times on the board. It will be a bit slippery out there for the guys to have to contend with. And taking a look, Project Vapor, go Aiden and Gabriel. Yes, we've got to go and talk about a couple of new additions coming to the world of iRacing. Going to have a bit of fun, and Aiden Russell is one of them. So keep an eye on Mr. Russell as he looks to try and make his debut run here in iRacing for the Raceface F4 Championship Season 1. But everyone's going to be taking a look to the front because we got Jason Coetzee. He's looking to make a great time. He's used to being in single-seaters, namely the Formula 1600, which has actually got a wing. It's a Formula Ford with a wing and front wing, rear wing, and everything. He sets down a time on the board of a 103.424. Instantly gets beaten out by Troy Dolenchik. So Troy Dolenchik trying to close down the time. Paul Herber jumping into third place. And there is Russell putting in a time of a 104. As the times start to come flurrying in for our drivers, it's going to be one heck of a charge. Also, you will notice that our overlay looks slightly different to our TCR. Well, this is because it's the official F3.5. I've got to make sure I say it, 3.5 overlay that's on. So just as a new way to come in, and little adjustments needed here and there, that is for certain. I can see on our timing board, but it's good to have a nice change from what it is to give a whole new look. So out in front, Troy Dolenchik going to be having a bit of fun in the Mercedes livery. He's going and blasting around. Let's see if he can beat his time of 103.3. These drivers were getting into a 102 in practice. And Jason Coetzee going and putting in a 103.1, getting ahead of Troy Dolenchik. Luke Leclerc is in third place. He's trying to better his time, so keep an eye on Luke Leclerc. And as he gets a power down, Luke Leclerc actually goes and sets up the Masters Series. So good to have him coming and having a bit of fun with us. Let's see what he'll be able to do. Julian Familiaris, though, is looking to really stamp his name around the circuit in the single-seater, as he's done so well in the touring cars. Let's see if it's going to make a difference this time around. Paul Herber in fourth place. Luke Leclerc in fifth. Sixth place, Andrew J.S. Thomas. Jan Price up into seventh place. Our co-commentator out there in the top 10. Tristan de Norbrigger trying to chase him down. Roelof Tulleman going and having a bit of fun. Good to see a bit of Mercedes, a bit of McLaren liveries out there. Aiden Russell in 10th. Nico Killerman going and trying to chase down in 11th place. Timothy Stanton out on circuit, followed by Gabriel dos Santos, currently in 13th place. Herman Lazarus in 14th. Werner Swart and Kurt Glaschken have currently done laps. Missing laps, though, is Etienne Swart, Doug Herber, Bego Krobler, Johan Free, Jeff Hancock, Vainan Kursop, Christopher Bosch, and Werner Skuman still needing to put in laps as they battle their way around. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, make sure that you go and share, like, and let the world know that the Raceface F4 Championship, sponsored by Adendorff Machinery Mart, is out and ready to have a bit of fun here on iRacing. And I've got to say, super excited to see how this season works out, because it's due to a phenomenal run. Guys coming into the single seaters, deciding they want to have a bit of fun, some open wheel action. So why not jump into an official FIA spec F4, not one that's been sort of modded, that's got difference in powers. The guys are able to get more out there. And with our field, just taking a look, we have actually got 25 cars, 22, 23, 24 cars, I do apologize, out on the track that will be racing this evening. As we keep an eye on Luke Lucchesi, he's trying to better his time. Troy Dolanchik with that 102.9 has been on a proper charge for the guys. And I gotta say, really looking forward to seeing how this will all develop as time goes on here for the iRacing on Raceface. Just getting the guys making their way around. 6 minutes to go. They've only got a couple of laps to do, and I know that we've got some of the racers finishing up. Gentlemen, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Stephen.
All right, so we've got comms back with Jan. Jan, you've just finished up with your qualifying, and so far, some good times being put in. A couple of guys practicing their starts, like Jeff Hancock's at the moment. But with those 102s being on the cards, do you think we're in for a proper race to the line with the guys? Is this going to be a challenge of who's going to be able to stick it out, who's going to be able to take more aggressive approaches into the race? Or is it going to be one of follow the leader, pick your time, get up on the inside, and ensure that guys have a more difficult time of putting wheel on the dirt?
Well, I think most definitely there are going to be guys that are going to try and take the fight to the front as soon as possible. Oran Park, not the easiest of places to overtake, Steve, so there is a certain amount of risk involved. As I said before, it's not the widest of tracks out there, but overtaking is possible, and I think it's going to be a mix of two types of races. Guys are going to try and charge to the front, be aggressive, try to make their way past, and the guys are just going to, have the longer game in mind. Not that you have a long time. I mean, we only have a 20-minute race.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see what the guys are going to do, and practice starts are happening at the moment for the F4s because you just have to get your revs right. You put it in gear, release your clutch nice and slowly, get it out, get it going. A couple of guys having to try and figure out what's going to work best for them. Knowing how the F4 moves around, especially on the start, is there any plan to try and move your way up through the field, or is it going to be just take it gentle, watch for any stalls, and try and maneuver your way past? First lap, take it easy. Second lap, go in for the kill.
That's pretty much what I'm going to do. I'm trying to do it or take it easy on the start, and just be watchful. It's not the easiest of tracks to start on, especially from a standing start. Cars are very bunched up, close together. Watch out what's going on around you, and hopefully I make it through turn 2 and so forth cleanly.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, especially with the F4 spec cars that we are using. I think we're in for a fantastic run, especially here at Raceface, since it's the debut season for it. But as time's starting to run out at the moment, 8 minutes and 42 seconds left, have been completed of this 10-minute qualifying. We've got 2 heats, so they've got 2 qualifyings that they have to go through. The drivers having to just try and figure it out, moving those brake biases just a little bit to try and get themselves a bit more comfortable. I know some drivers actually prefer it a lot more to the front. Generally, single seaters will run 60-40. Some drivers prefer it a little bit back. I know I'm one of these guys that prefer putting it to about 56 just to go and stall the back out, that it isn't slipping and sliding underneath me. I'm not worrying about getting that nose deep into the corner, but more of control the slides going into the corner.
Yeah, and I'm on the other side, one of the guys that prefer the brake bias more to the front. I like to have the stable rear end and not let the rear end slide around too much. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how different strategies work out at the end of the day. I think we're in for a good race tonight.
Yeah, that's it. And 24 cars on the grid is a substantial field that we love to see. But the times of a 102.9 to beat. Julian Familiaris in second place with a just only 0.88 behind, and then you got Jason Kutsia, who's only 0.033 behind. It's very close at the front, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be a close race. As I see, we're just waiting, and then we're going to the grid, and then it's go time. So all the pre-race checks now happening. Make sure you got all the stuff turned off and switch on that you want. So now the final minute and a half or so before we start the race.
Yeah, so good luck to you, and we'll leave you be for the race. So keep an eye out, ladies and gentlemen. Jan Price, who giving us a bit of insight. We'll have a chat to him during the course of the evening as well. So let's take a look at our grid as we bring it up. First place goes to Troy Dolenschik. Second place is Julian Familiaris, Jason Coetzee, Tristan de Norbrigge, Luc Lequesi, Johan Fourie, Andrew J.S. Thomas, Paul Gerber, Bego Krobler in 9th place, Timothy Stanton, Werner Skuman in 11th, Janeman Price, Roelof Tilleman, Christopher Bolsch, Aiden Russell, Nico Killerman, Herman Lazarus, Gabriel De Santos, Werner Swart, Doug Gerber, Etienne Swart, Kurt Glaskin, Jeff Hancock, and Wayne Kersap, right, rounding up our field. As we get ready to race, all eyes are going to be on the front. Troy Dolenschik, along with Julian Familiaris, waiting for the green lights. 4, 5, and away we go. Off to a flying start, a couple of stallers as they battle their way through. But it looks like Troy Dolenschik off to a great start. Julian Familiaris trying to close down the distance as they make their way through turn 1. Hard on the brakes, and it's now going to be an absolute charge to try and battle their way through. Jason Coetzee trying everything he can. He has got the likes of Johan Fourie right behind him in tow as they battle their way onto the brakes. Tristan de Norbrigge doing everything they can. Christopher Bosch, unfortunately, having a tough time off the start for his race, as I see that he's got a bit of a problem. Wayne Kersap also a lap down as they make their way over the bridge. Now it's going to keep the power on as they filter their way through the circuit here at Oran Park. Not going to be an easy one. Etienne Swart going and landing up off circuit as he tries to close down the distance, but drivers having to just maneuver their way through. You can hang it in 4th gear and just keep your foot absolutely planted over the crest. Now down into 3rd gear. Get back on that power as early as possible as you get onto the straight. Go and stretch it out a little bit wide into the likes of the pit lane and keep in tow. But all in all, off to a great start for our grid. Troy Dolenschik, though, opening up the field. And considering he comes from single-seaters, he's hoping to just try and stretch his gap a little bit more as he puts the power down. Then you have got the likes of Julian Familiaris in tow. Well, he's got Jason Coetzee all over the back of him, pushing as hard as he can to try and close down the distance. Johan Fourie out in 4th place has lost track of the tow and will have to be very cautious as Tristan de Norbrigge getting closer and closer. Andrew Thomas also trying to close in, but he has got the Rothman colors of Bego Krobler right behind him. Bego, who's usually in GT cars, changed to touring car, now into single-seaters, goes out wide, drops a wheel. That will be a bit of a problem. Paul Gerber doing everything he can. Luc Lequesi touches the dirt as he tries to power his way through. Russell giving a bit of a chase down, and it has got Janeman Price right on the back of him in 11th place. Werner Swart in 12th has fallen back. He's trying to keep ahead of Doug Gerber. Gabriel De Santos closing down the distance. Jeff Send It Hancock's now trying to close down and get back into the tow. Kurt Glaskin in 16th. 17th is Nico Kellerman. Etienne Swart, Herman Lazarus, and Roelof Tilleman rounding out our field. But back out to the front, it is a 3-way battle going on. Troy Dolenschik, Julian Familiaris, and Coetzee going and doing extreme battles as they power their way through, really trying to close down the distance on one another. Johan Fourie lying in 4th place, our previous season TCR winner, now going and having to play a little bit of catch-up to the cars just ahead of him. He's lying in 4th place, trying to keep it consistent. Tristan de Norbrigge trying to chase him down. He's got Andrew Thomas right behind him and Bego Krobler as they're looking to square up against one another as they power their way through. Yeah, and past that's just happened is Janeman Price getting past Russell, though. Just saw that flare up on screen as they battle their way around the circuit. So good to see that we're having guys off to a flying start. Quick lap times being set, a 103.1 being set by our leader as they make their way around the circuit. Julian Familiaris doing everything he can. Smoke pouring out the back of Bego as he was actually locking up the brakes. And let's go and take a look. This is Timothy Stanton having a bit of a problem in the Red Bull colors. The tribute to the Red Bull Honda. There's the tribute colors. That was for Suzuka. Rear snaps out, comes back on, flips around, gets it back going. Beautiful pirouette. Gotta say, stunning stuff that you managed to keep that all in order. So, good starts. Some guys having a bit of a difficult one. But it looks like Werner Schumann going and trying to make up a bit of ground. Christopher Busch, though, looks like he has pitted. And that car taking a fair amount of time to get back out. So he's going to have to keep an eye out on what's happening. Julian Familiaris, Jason Coetzee right behind one another, keeping in tow as they power their way through. Now heading into the little kink. It's all about just lining yourself up. Little lift of the power onto the brakes. Try and keep it all together. You could see a bit of a lockup from Troy Dolenchik just ahead. And a beautiful shot as the guys make their way over the bridge. Jan Ferree got a problem as Tristan Norberger right in tow, trying to close down the distance. Gets into the tow, closing up on the gearbox. Look to the inside, sends it past on the inside. Beautiful pass. Ferree now in 5th place. And Andrew Thomas keeping slightly ahead of Bego Krobler, who is now also closed. So a couple of guys now starting to close into the tow. We're starting to have a 4-way train as they make their way past. Couple of incidents happening out on circuit, though. The guys having to be very aware of little light knocks because the suspension is completely exposed. The last thing you want to do is go and kiss the wall at any situation with these cars. Julian Familiaris, though, has got Jason Coetzee. This is the battle for second as they keep an eye on our first place man, Troy Dolenchik, starting to stretch open the distance and getting a little bit more drive. Jason tries to look for the inside line and unable to do it. The RDSA driver, Esport driver, having a great time. Tristan de Norberger, also from the RDSA Esports, going and having a fun time out there with Ferree chasing right onto the back of him. And there we got Andrew Thomas up on the inside. Beautiful send, stretching it out. Going to make life a little bit tricky. Goes and leans it out. And Ferree getting walked off to the side of the circuit, having to come off the gas. And now Bego Krobler smells blood in the water as he chases down. He's in 7th place, trying to make up as much ground as possible as he gets right into the tow, really pulling himself on for a great charge. A little bit of a slide as they power their way through. Paul Herber is trying to close down the distance as well. So Bego just ahead of him. Paul Herber in 8th. 9th is Luke Lucchesi trying to make up a bit of time. The RDSA and Pantera Racing doing everything he can. Aiden Russell getting massive support on his debut run. Currently in 10th place. Werner Swart in 11th. Jeff Hancock's in 12th. Doe Herber down in 13th. Kurt Glaschken closing down the distance, followed by Gabriel Dos Santos, Nico Kellerman, and Etienne Swart as they power their way through. Bernard Kursop ahead of Herman Lazarus. Jonathan Price fallen down the order. He's trying to make up some ground, getting a little bit of a bottom out there. Rulf Tillerman going and having a great chase in 21st. 22nd, Werner Schumann. Timothy Stanton, unfortunately, down a lap as he makes his way back out onto the circuit, but getting blue flags all the way. He's got to be well aware of that and just try and position himself in a, well, favorable position at this point. And just taking a look, the guys really in a monstrous battle, trying everything they can. Bego Krobler closing down on Ferree as much as possible, getting into the tow. And Andrew Thomas, who's just ahead of the little pack, starting to close down on Tristan de Norberger just ahead. So now it is starting to get very interesting as they battle their way around. Troy Dolenchik, though, out in 1st place, locking up his brakes once again, now trying to maneuver his way through the field. He did the fastest lap of a 1:02 and has got Julian Familiaris trying to close down the distance as they got one of the drivers just ahead of them. And I think that's not Timothy Stanton. It's one of the Red Bull cars. No, that's actually one of the Mercedes, McLaren. Ooh, I'm going to get wiped out by the McLaren riders. As that's Rulf Tillerman. He's keeping to the inside line, try and let the guys pass, especially on a very tricky circuit. And take a look. Jason Coetzee tried capitalizing on that. Julian Familiaris having to close the door rather quickly. And now it is turning into a monstrous battle between them, side by side, as they make their way through over the hill. And, oh, Jason off onto the dirt, manages to slow the car down just enough. And one of the cars out in the weeds, and that's Herman Lazarus that landed up with a problem. So he's trying to make up a bit of ground now. But it looks like a bit of a loss going on there as Herman Lazarus keeping out of the way for the other drivers, allowing them to go through. Tristan de Norberg is going to be happy with that as he has a lot of pressure from Andrew Thomas right behind him. Jan Ferree now closing down the distance. Oh, Herman Lazarus now facing the wrong way. Is that Herman Lazarus? No, that might be Wayne Kersop. Wayne Kersop spinning it out. And now having to try and get it all back together. The guy's having to take evasive maneuvers under braking. Not an easy thing to do, considering you're trying to bleed off the brakes through that corner and not get caught out. But as our drivers make their way through, silently their way around properly, getting the power down and trying to slide their way through. Nico Kilman, though, a little bit further back. This is 14th and 13th. Doe Herber just ahead of him. Nico Kilman in 14th, trying to close down the distance. Doe just focusing on his braking at this point, not minding the mirrors all too much. As Nico Kilman going and putting down the power. Got to say, beautiful livery on the car as he makes his way around. It's almost got that prototype livery that you got to be very cautious of. And you don't want any photos being unnecessarily taken of the car. But some great times being done around the circuit by our F4s. Low-powered vehicles, so easy to get the hang of, compared to more high-powered counterparts that guys like to jump in, the Formula 3s, the Formula 1s, even the Formula 2s and 2.5s. The guys are able to have a bit more fun with these cars. Very similar to what the Formula 4s on the Iracing service are, where you've got a little bit of a slight learning curve. Once you get the hang of it, it's beautiful. The Formula 4, easy to drive, difficult to master sort of play coming into it. Doe Herber, though. Oh, Nico Kilman going and losing it. Now you can see trying to get himself off circuit. Etienne Swart coming by. Gabriel Dos Santos also closing down the distance onto the back of Etienne Swart's going to be more than happy with that free position as they get the drive, really putting the power down and trying to get a little bit more of a run. So far, some great action. Oh, Gabriel Dos Santos, though, going and losing the tail end. Just having a bit of a washout behind Etienne Swart. That's allowed Kurt Gloschken to go and get past Nico Kilman, retaking the position. Gabriel Dos Santos, as we were keeping an eye on him, unfortunately losing a lot of time. And that has allowed Jelleman Price to start closing down the distance on him. So the Project Vapor team supporting the drivers as they make their debut outing. Really just having a bit of a difficult time. But all the drivers in this grid now getting to have some fun with Formula 4 in a first league race in South Africa for the Formula 4. And that's something to give it out for the Raceface F4. Sponsored by Adendorff Machinery, Mart Tools. And the winner of the championship will be receiving a professional toolbox with tools included. And I mean absolutely tremendous stuff with Adendorff Machinery. They've got the tools that will last a lifetime. And considering they've got their guarantees as well that gets you going, you definitely want to go and take a look at Adendorff Machinery, Machinery, Mart and Tools. They've got not only just toolboxes, hammers, spanners, but if you're looking for generators, leaf blowers, and more, they've got it, everything. It's like your one-stop shop. It's just amazing to go and take a look through the website. So go and keep an eye out on that. But a big thank you to them for sponsoring our series. And also, we do have that mystery prize, which I don't even know about, which is absolutely fantastic to see. But so far, as the guys battle their way through, Tristan de Norberg now closing onto the back of Jelleman Price, has to be very cautious as Andrew Thomas is going to try and close down the distance. So is Johan Ferree. So Jelleman, who is really battling it out with Team Heap Together car, also with Metal State on the side, just going in, having a great fun. Project Vapor saying, I would be fighting for tooth and nail for that toolkit. Well, you're not the only one, buddy. You and I are sitting on the wrong side of the fence here. Maybe we need to change that. I know Andres Aradio is going to be just going and looking a little bit into it, seeing his fellow teammates and fellow drivers having a phenomenal time out there in the F4s as they power their way through. Jelleman opening up the distance, allowing the guys to come through. Jan Fourie down in 6th place, trying to make up a bit more ground. But out in front, Troy Dolenchik opening up a monstrous lead over Julian Familiaris. 3.4 seconds. Julian Familiaris in 2nd. Jason Coetzee. Tristan de Norbrigge. Man, why am I saying Tristan? Tristan de Norbrigge out in 4th place. Actually just coming back from a race down at Aldo Scribanti. Might I add, he was working on the brand new Novo Proto NP02. So he's definitely one I want to pick the brain about, of all the stuff bouncing over the curb, bottoming out. Not quite how you want to do a single-seater. Andrew Thomas, though, getting caught up behind one of our back markers and having to really figure out what he can do, as Fourie has closed the distance to him. Bego Krobler has got Paul Gerber all over the back of him. These two have not gone and sparred in a very, very long time. So it's good to see racing all over, side-by-side action as they head their way into turn 1. Slight kink in the chicane. Everyone making it through. Fourie right on the charge. Our defending champion of the TCRs really taking the fight to Andrew J.S. Thomas of RDSA Esports just ahead of him, trying to make a bit of ground. Bego Krobler a little bit further back now, has to try and get past. He's got Paul Gerber up on the inside. Paul Gerber moves himself up into 8th place. So Paul Gerber going and having a great one there. Bego having to just keep that in mind. So I do apologize. Bego up in 7th. Paul Gerber in 8th. He manages to get past. So Luke Lucchesi and Aiden Russell into the top 10 for his debut outing. A little drop of the wheels. Got to be very careful of that. But absolutely tremendous stuff coming from one of the Project Vapor team and drivers. Good to see the guys having a bit of fun. Good to see that the Project Vapor team going and having a bit of an outing here in iRacing in the Raceface F4 Championship Season 1. So keep an eye out for them. They're going to also be racing tomorrow evening in the GT3s as well. As we keep an eye, Fourie onto the back of Andrew Thomas as they break, making their way through. Tristan de Norbrigge carving his way through number 28. And that is Kurt Glashagen. They managed to get past. Good to see Kurt Glashagen. That's Kurt Glashagen. Now, Kurt Glashagen races in the Raceface GT3 Championship and the Grid, the Sprint Series and the Grid Championship. Good to see him going and stretching his legs out, jumping into a single-seater. So, Kurt, buddy, welcome to the Raceface F4s. And in 15th position, that's a very, very positive result for an outing. And good to see jumping away from the likes of your tin tops, trying something more. Guys, expanding their repertoire of racing here at Raceface. Not only being in just the normal GT3s, trying out different things, battling their way through. It's really fun to see races like this where guys are just going and changing it up a little bit, going and flipping the script, what we usually think. Tristan de Norbrigge getting a little bit more of a drive ahead of Andrew Thomas. Andrew doing everything he can to try and close down the distance, and now closing up in certain points. So it looks like Tristan just not able to open the gap as much as he wants, and that's allowed Fourie to get right onto the tail of them with that mellow yellow car, having a huge amount of fun out there. He's got Bego Krobler and Paul Gerber closing down the distance between the two of them, so keep an eye out as Bego tries to make up a bit of ground as they slide their way through. Couple of minutes left. I'm just seeing there is a bit of chaos happening. Let's actually go take a look. This is the likes of Herman Lazarus. He's trying to get a little bit more drive. It looks like Vaynard Kursop moving out the way. Herman Lazarus, unfortunately, coming to blows on the drivers. And, yeah, that's Rulof Tulliman that he had a blow with. Oh, not how you want to do it. You can hear that suspension, just not a happy camper, dragging on the ground. And it's unfortunate to see, but when you hook wheels, that's pretty much you done and dusted. And you got to carve your way through. Getting side pod to side pod is never an easy thing. Back out of the front, though, guys are still keeping it all together. I do want to point out Gabriel Dos Santos. He's having a chase down with Nico Killerman. Once again, the two drivers have closed up on one another. They've also closed up on Kurt Glashagen just ahead of him. So Kurt trying to make up a bit of a time as he gets a little bit more drive and making his way over the bridge, and now has got Janneman Press just ahead of him. Tristan de Norbrigge in 4th place. We've got Andrew Thomas right behind him. Jan Fourie closing down the distance. Bego Krobler along with Paul Gerber, each running in tow. So keep an eye out on that little battle. It's also continuing to form and take their way through. Gabriel Santos trying everything he can to get a little bit more drive, catches up to back of Kurt, locking up that front left wheel as he gets into the toe. Nico Kilman now trying to chase him down, getting into a little bit more of a push-shove situation. Got to figure out where you're going to outbrake him. Kurt now going a little bit more defensive, turning it in a little bit early. That's allowing Gabriel to close down the distance. Locks it up, though. Has to do a little bit of cadence braking. Go and bleed off the throttle ever so slightly and get yourself back in. That has also been a phenomenal run. Troy Dolenchik out in first place. Has got Julian Familiaris, but take a look at the distance. 5.1 seconds between first and second. Just have to highlight that there because it's just an incredible run. Just taking a look. Paul Gerber, though, got a problem. I saw it flare up. Let's try and take a look. Over the bridge. Trying to catch up to Bago just ahead of him. Bago not giving any room. And Paul just getting that snap oversteer right the way through. Unfortunately, just getting on the power a little bit too early. That's dropped him down and allowed Andrew Thomas to get past. So, as we keep an eye, there is Paul Herbert. He is now caught right behind Janneman Price. Going to go for the inside line. Dives for the pass. Manages to get past. And he is in the clear for that. But take a look right behind. There's a little battle forming. Nico Killerman catching up to Janneman Price. A little bit of contact. Luke Lucchesi having a bit of a problem there. Let's actually take a look. There was a whole squabble. Luke Lucchesi in 10th place. Trying. He closes up a distance. Has got Vaynard Kursop. Oh, contact. 842. Going and landing up in that, outbraking himself. And that was Aiden Russell that went and got a little bit of a lockup. And unfortunately turned it into a bit of a crazy time. As we see Troy Dolenchik making his way through. He takes first place. Second place going to the likes of Julian Familiaris. Third place, Jason Kutsi ahead of Tristan de Norbriger. Fifth place, Johan Furrie, Bago Krobler, Andrew Thomas. In 7th place, 8th is Paul Gerber, Aiden Russell. In 9th, 10th place, Luke Lucchesi, Werner Swart, Jeff Hancock,
what their relative box is for.
Etienne Swart, Doe Gerber, Janneman Price, Kurt Glaschken going and battling it out. So keep an eye out on them as we listen to a couple of the guys having a bit of a chat out there. So do apologize.
I mean, it's supposed to be 3 corners, not 3 laps. We're back.
So as the guys just giving a bit of feedback of what's happening with the race. Some of them not very happy, but others going to be rather stellar with that result. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the results. Troy Dolenchik out in first place. Second place, Julian Familiaris, Jason Kutsia, Tristan de Norbriger, Jan Furrie, Bago Krobler, Andrew Thomas, Paul Gerber, Aiden Russell, Luke Lucchesi, Werner Swart, Jeff Hancock, Etienne Swart, Doe Gerber, Janneman Price, Kurt Glasshagen, Nico Killerman, Gabriel Dos Santos, Werner Skuman, and Herman Lazarus rounding out our field. Some exciting racing. Retirements, though, going, well, not retirements, further down the field. The guys ending up with the likes of Timothy Stanton in 21st, 22nd, Vaden Kursop, Roloff Tullerman, and retirement is Christopher Birch, rounding out our field here at the Raceface F4, brought to you by Adendorff Machinery, Mart, and Tools. And let's see if we can actually have a chat with Janneman, give him a bit of an idea. Janneman, are you there?
I'm here, Stephen.
What a race was out there. Some close racing, some difficult racing. A couple of guys not too thrilled about landing up in the positions they are, but this is Heat 1, so there is another heat to go. And the guys are going to have to rethink of what their strategies are. How was it out there in the F4 for the very first time? Brought to you by Adendorff Machinery and Tools here at Raceface F4 Season 1.
Well, all was going well, running top 10, and then until it didn't go well. And I had a slight altercation with a wall and had to do a pit stop, which dropped me way down the field. And I had to fight my way up from there and, got caught up. The problem with that is you get caught up by the field, so you need to let the faster car go while still trying to catch up to the cars ahead.
definitely a difficult one for a lot of guys, having to try and figure out how the cars work, considering we see a lot of GT or tin top drivers now jumping into the single seaters, trying to figure out how to just get the brake bias in the right place. I forgot
that
how
one.
to, yeah, that one. But I've got to say, with the prize online, that Adendorff machinery and tools toolbox is just amazing for guys to go for. And considering a few cars got a little bit knackered, including yours, handy set of tools for the pit crew might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, well, and it's never a bad idea. You know, I use a lot of tools. I go through them like groceries. But Stephen, I just want to find out, when I had my crash, was your camera on me?
No, but I did hear. I did hear a comment coming through my headphones at that time.
No, that was all my fault. Nobody else involved. I basically misjudged that final chicane just before the last corner and went wide on the grass before the final corner. And you know, these F4s, their brakes, they don't work that well on grass.
No, not at all. Not at all. But some fantastic racing nonetheless from our F4s. And gotta say, some really, really interesting battles out there. The guys really keeping a positive thought. And also just guys just generally seem to be getting to grips with the cars. Heat 1, as the race progressed, it was getting better and better. A couple of squabbles here and there, especially as the front runners caught up to you guys. They were running a little bit further down the field. That made life a little bit more tricky because you sat offline and there isn't much space around the circuit to just go and jump out the way. The rule says that you've got 3 corners to let a car by safely, but when you've got 3 corners in succession like what we have here at Oran Park, it does make things rather tricky, but at the same time, it does allow you to go and close the distance on the drivers ahead.
Well, you see, one of the problems is if you have an incident early on in the race, it puts you way down the field and you're essentially getting lapped. Now, the cars behind you, I'm not talking the front runners, but as soon as you're moving towards the guys that you normally race, they don't gain on you all that quickly. And, you know, it takes a little bit of, actually a lot of lifting on the straights to let some of the guys pass because you're on similar pace, essentially.
Yeah, and considering the guys are running about 103s, 104s as the average lap time for majority of the field, a couple of guys managing to get into those legendary 102s, but as you know, that is a very difficult thing to do. Start line though was a bit chaotic, one of the cars stalling at the line and everyone having to take evasive maneuvers as they dive their way through. Cold tires into the little kink, making life a bit interesting. Couple of guys locking it up, but all in all, a fairly neat well, I could say actually a very neat start comparing to what people thought might happen, especially heading into turn 1, being Oran Park as a very, very tricky circuit. With that slight left hand, you are braking literally and bleeding off the brakes as you head into essentially turn 1. In that long left-hander, you're bleeding off the brakes, getting back onto the power. So to have the cold brakes and locking it up, you just got a cadence braking your whole way through. It made life a little bit more interesting for the rest of the field.
Yeah, I know it did. I mean, I'm at the rear end of the car stepping out at the start, and I thought to myself, okay, here we go. And luckily I was lucky to keep it under control, get it slowed down for essentially, as you say, turn 1, which is turn 2. So, and I think a very clean start from where I saw it. I don't know further back. I could only see what was in front of me. And now we move on to the second race, waiting for the server to open so that we can go do it all over again.
Yeah, the sweep into Coca-Cola corner being an interesting one. But I'm going to chuck out some facts for everyone out there. And a big thank you to everyone going and having a good one. Gabriel Santos saying, not a great one. Sorry again to everyone where there was some chaos. Gabriel, you still had a good race out there and put on a fantastic show. So don't go and beat yourself up. I think you had a fantastic one. And keep up the hard work going and battling it out. Good to see you in a single seater. So, pass on a little bit of information. Did you know that Oran Park became a fixture on the Australian Touring Car Championship and V8 Supercar Series that was presented by Big Pond? So how's that? We had massive V8s. And this is going back...
V8 around Oran Park.
Yes, Aussie V8s around Oran Park.
How's that for the next season at Raceface?
And also at Oran Park, they had a couple of rounds from the Superbike World Championship from 1988 to 1989. And a number of touring cars, also touring car endurance races around Oran Park. With the final race, Gareth Tinder won the final V8 supercar race at Oran Park in 2008. So how's that for a bit of insight into this amazing circuit? And at the same time, it does bring a tear to your eye, because these are one of these circuits that in 2010 got wrecked. It fell to the likes of the bulldozers and the bulls in 2010, making way for housing development. And I mean, that you talk about a history like that for it. I mean, the first 1 mile circuit in 1962, this was the track, the original, before they expanded it up to a 1.2 mile circuit. And that was just under what it is now, because at the moment it's a 1.6, aka 2.6 kilometers. And that was put into place in 1974. So a bit of history going on about it, but good to see it. A couple of guys also jumping in and saying it was fantastic out there. Tristan de Norbrugge, who was out at Aldo Scribanti this weekend working on a very, very special car. So Tristan, good to have you, and good to see you out here. Tristan's also very knowledgeable of single-seaters. He had a good run out there. Richard Herring saying, sad I'm missing tonight. Richard, heart goes out to it, because these are phenomenal cars. And with the extensive grid that we've got here for the Raceface F4 Championship Series Season 1, sponsored by Adendorff Machineries, I can't wait to see how it's all going to turn out. But gentlemen, running into Heat 2, what's the thought process? What's the thoughts running through your head as a driver?
Not hit the wall again.
I like the again part. That's
Well, Steve, I did it in the first race, so I think I did get a bit of tunnel vision in the first race and misjudged the line, because you do tend to follow the line of the car in front, and all of a sudden I ran out of track. But I think all of us that did the first race, we're a lot more into our rhythm now, and I think the second race is going to be an even closely fought battle. Hopefully, as I said, I don't hit the wall again and I can make it through cleanly, and who knows, maybe I've got a top 10 in me.
Well, you were close to a top 10 on the first one, so I'm sure that you will do it and get it. Gabriel Dos Santos also having a great outing out there, but ultimately it came down to the victors for Heat 1. The guys really showing off what they could do, and well, as our provisional points show, the guys having a great run out there. Troy Dolanchik finishing in first place, Julian Familiaris, Jason Coetzee going and finishing in third place, Tristan de Norbrugge in fourth, Jan Ferree out in fifth place, Johan Bego Krobler in sixth, seventh is Andrew Thomas, Paul Herber, Aiden Russell into the top 10 on his first outing, Luke Leclerc in 10th place. He got caught up in a little bit of carnage into turn 1. Werner Swart, Jeff Hancock, Etienne Swart, Doug Herber, yourself, Jonathan Price in 15th position, Kurt Glasshagen in 16th, 17th Nico Killerman, Gabriel Dos Santos, 19th is Werner Skuman, Herman Lazarus, Timothy Stanton, Rulof Tolleman, Vaynard Kursop, and Christopher Bosch rounding out our field for it. And gotta say, really looking forward to seeing how the guys are going to look into Heat 2, what's going to be the plans, what's going to be the strategies going forward. These are fixed series cars, so you can't modify the setups other than adjust your brake bias, and that does make life a little bit more interesting. It makes the field, everyone having the same setup, but at the same time they are track specific setups. So the same iRacing setup built by a third party, which is iRacing itself. So these are the same setups. You can go drive at home and compare your lap times too. So go take, there's something for you guys. Go take the setup, go and have a bit of fun. Use the same league settings. Go and see if you can set a quicker lap time than a 1:02 around Oran Park in a FIA F4 here on the iRacing service. and see if you can also be as quick as our RaceFace.Pro F4 Championship drivers. But if you also want to come in and join in with the racing, head over to RaceFace.Pro and join up with our F4 League. Also, head over to the Discord. Let us know how you guys are doing. Also, take a look on our social media. And if you guys are enjoying the content as it stands, hit the subscribe button, hit the like icon if you're enjoying it. And if you don't like it, put the down icon. We'd love to hear the feedback. And also drop a comment as well. Go and leave a little emoji as well to go and just say that you're here, that you're going and watching the content. It's always good to see, and it's good for the channel as we're on our road for 1,000 subscribers here at Raceface. But gentlemen, it's pending, it's ready, we're getting there, and we will be racing in just a few moments for Heat 2 of the first ever round. Can I point that out? The first ever round of Raceface F4 Championship. And to my knowledge, this is the first F4 Iracing Championship in South Africa that's being run. So history is being made this evening. Every person here in the chat, in the grid, everywhere, this is where you want to be, making history, stamping your name in the legacy books.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. As you said, I don't think anybody else previously ran an F4. The F4, came to the foreground quite recently. It's a car that's been around for a while, but it came to the foreground quite recently and started being raced more and more. So let's see how this second heat goes. Is this round 2 or round 1.2?
Been in the situation of talking about round 1, round 2. I just know this as Heat 2. Round 1, Heat 2. That's keep it simple. Run the KISS method, as I say. For anyone that doesn't know the KISS method, go and ask anyone what the KISS method is. K.I.S.S. And it stands for Keep It Simple Stupid. Easy as that. It's one to run by. It's how I've run my life, essentially. Run by the KISS method. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Ultimately, have a lot of fun at it. Don't overthink it. Go and jump into a car like this and go and have a bit of fun around. Especially since it's got no wheel arches, you're sitting in the middle, it's a single-seater. There's nothing better in the world. Especially, the Porsches that Janneman likes just seem to be second-hand compared to an F4. I've heard Janneman say that personally as well.
Really? Or was it you that said it? No, these are awesome little cars to drive. It's a totally different car to what a lot of the guys normally drive. It's worlds apart, even from what a touring car is. I mean, these are they're skittish. They're very sensitive to steering inputs. The rear end, especially on these fixed type of setups, for me personally, the rear end is very loose. So you need to keep all of those things in mind. But hey, I suppose they say loose is quick.
Well, that's it. And as the drivers make their way around, we got 5 minutes of a bit of a warm-up before we jump into qualifying. Any final thoughts before we leave you be to go and have a proper fight here at Oran Park for round 1, Heat 2, and get ready to rock and roll. Big thank you to our main sponsor, our series sponsor. I'm going to call that our series sponsor, Adendorff Machinery, Mart and Tools. Go and take a look at them as well if you're looking for any tools, any mechanical tools that you need, whether it is generators, leaf blowers, and more, painting machines, compressors, everything. Head over to Adendorff because you know you're going to get the best quality every single time with your purchase. And they've also got a renting solution as well, so I've actually seen. Stand to be corrected, but they do have it for everyone that goes and helps with the pocket as well. High price tools, but high quality, low price, and high guarantee on all their tools and machinery that you can get at Adendorff Machinery Mart.
Yeah, no, from our side, all the best to all the drivers for the second heat. Let's hope everything goes cleanly, and let's see what we can do second time around. This is a very physically demanding circuit, Stephen, that you definitely feel a 20-minute heat in an F4 car around here.
And just for everyone that has noticed, you would notice that there's a bit of an overlay change. Yes, because we are giving F4s the love it deserves by having a different style put into play. And this is the F3.5 styling that's being used, just to go and give it a bit of love. Because why not? Let's give it a bit of a personality here at Raceface. As practice is done and dusted, gentlemen, good luck, have fun, and we will see you at the end of the race.
Thanks a lot, Stephen.
All right, as we mute up Iracing Price as he gets ready for his qualifying session, and we get ready to rock and roll. Drivers will be heading out the pits and getting themselves ready to have a bit of fun. 10-minute qualifying once again for the guys having to go and battle out. So it's going to be a good thing. Just to answer a few questions out in the grandstands. Lewis Nokia saying F4 looks a tricky drive. Actually, not that much. Due to its low power, it's not as difficult as you think it is. It's an easy to master car, but at the same time becomes a very difficult one. Well, it's easy to drive, hard to master. A lot of drivers actually comparing that's a lot easier compared to the likes of the Formula V, and definitely a lot easier compared to the Formula Ford 1600, which is on the service. I would recommend for anyone looking at jumping into single-seater racing and wants to have a bit of fun, the best one, hands down, is going to be an F4, and it will be your best purchase, your best bang for buck. That is for absolutely certain here. So keep an eye out on that. And if you are looking for your best purchases, a TCR car you can never go wrong with because it's used everywhere. And the F4, also, you can run the entire calendar on a lot of free circuits. And why not? It's a lot of fun. Also, if you get into a slide, actually stand on the power. Trick to note, stand on the power, the car actually gets itself right. Soon as you come off the power, it's got to snap oversteer. So if I can compare it for our... if I can compare it in terms of GT cars, think of it as it's not the BMW, it's more the Ferrari, that you can have a great race in it, but it can also give you a little bite when it's getting a little bit tricky. Ferrari, Mercedes sort of feel to it, so just keep aware of that when you get a hold of it. But it's definitely one that I would recommend for any driver to go and have a bit of fun for single-seaters. And why not also come jump into the Raceface F4 Championship, brought to you by Raceface and Adendorff Machinery, Mart and Tools. Out in the front, though, Luke Lucchesi putting in the fastest lap time, a 1:03.8. Let's see if he'll be able to maintain his position. He's got Jan Ferrari trying to close down the distance. Bego Krobler is going to wait. But as the laps come through, there we go. Julian Familiaris, 1:03.6. And Luke Lucchesi down in second place. Troy Dolanchik in third place, going and putting his power through, so he's trying to make up a bit of time. As we take a look, let's go and switch out to our best times so you guys can see what these lap times are starting to look like and where it's all going to end out. And it's just to give you an idea of the different gaps between all the lap times. You can see how close the racing actually is, front and back between one another. It's just one of these... It's a difficult one to see how the guys are going to break away, especially after a phenomenal race. Julian Familiaris out in first place. Luke Lucchesi in second place, looking to better his lap time. Comes across the line and maintaining, well, actually jumping into first place. 1:03.6. Julian Familiaris into second place. He's trying to improve his time. Tristan de Norbrigger also trying to close down the distance. Troy Dolanchik going and jumping himself into first place. Walked away with Heat 1, now having a bit of fun for the Sujin team. Good to see Troy Dolanchik going and battling it out, wearing the Mercedes colors, looking to go and also become a 7-time world champion. I mean, why not? With those sort of colors, I think you can. Second place, though, Luke Lucchesi doing everything he can to try and battle it out. Julian Familiaris in third. Fourth place is Paul Gerber. He loses out to Jan Ferrari, who jumps up into fourth. Paul Gerber in fifth. Tristan de Norbrigger at sixth. Seventh, Andrew Thomas. Werner Skuman, Jason Coetzee, Rulof Tulliman, Timothy Stanton, Aiden Russell, Doe Gerber, Nico Kilman, Gabriel Dos Santos out in 15th. 16th, Jeff Hancock, Werner Swart, Christopher Bosch, Etienne Swart, Herman Lazarus, Iracing Price, Weinand Kursap, Bego Krobler, and Kurt Glashagen going and rounding out our field. And just taking a look over to the grandstands at Raceface. Had a lot of fun with them last night at Spa. So I'm finally in my new home. I will come and join Raceface. Missing the fun. Racing, been enjoying Iracing a lot more than ACC. Just waiting on Rensport. Also very interested to see what Rensport's going to be, because it does look like it's starting to rev it up into a very, very good sim. I do feel that it's going to be like ACC was, the Set Corsa Competizione. It's got to have its time to build up, and once it gets there, it's going to be a really, really good sim to go and bounce around to. But at the moment, iRacing being on top of the world for it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to lay it out here tonight for you guys. Exclusive information. There is currently the FIA F4s looking to have every country to run FIA F4 rules and eventually have points that can go towards it. MSA taking a look at it as well. Do we possibly see these cars becoming a MSA championship? Well, only time will tell. And will it be part of an official FIA F4 championship that we will have? A first FIA championship in South Africa for esports racing. Well, keep an eye out on the social media, not only on MSA's side, but out on Raceface. There is discussions. There's something out there for you guys to think about. Exclusive news. I've let the cat out of the bag. I will deal with it all afterwards. My phone is on mute, so you guys have my attention. So if that doesn't make you want to jump into one of these beautiful cars, that we may have an Africa Championship, why not? I think it's going to be great as the drivers make their way through. Essentially oversized go-karts that we've got out on the circuit here. Lots of fun. Very difficult circuit to go and play around on. And you can see a couple of guys just trying to practice their starts at the moment. Bego Krobler trying to move up as he makes his way through. But it's going to be a good one. Jan Price, he's trying to get out of that 17th position so far. Lap time 105.4. Trying to get into those 104s. Really trying to feather his way through as he gets out onto the power and gets himself going. Bego Krobler coming across the line. He goes and rounds out in 8th position. Jan Krobler going and having a good one in the Rothmans colors. Good to see the old Rothmans colors getting put back onto a single-seater. I love to see it. But with that being said, let's actually jump on board on the roll bar cam and take a look what it requires as they go around. Bego showing us a bit of the circuit. You can hear sliding around, hanging it in 3rd gear. Now into 4th over the bridge. Slight lift on the throttle, then get back onto the power, controlling the rear into the little chicane. Hold it in 4th gear, cut the curb a little bit. Try and give it a little bit more grunt. Hold it in 4th. You want to go down into 3rd, but you just need to hang it in 4th. Believe it's there. Put flat as you make your way through over the crest. Down into 4th gear, into 3rd mid-corner, catching a slide. And you can see counter steering, feeding the power back on. And ultimately having a great run up to the line as he finishes out in 8th place. So that gives you a bit of an idea of what needs to be done here. And, well, as we wait for the rest of the field, Timothy Stanton, he's still trying to make his way around. He's in 14th position, and that's him done and dusted. Gabriel Santos going and practicing his starts. Needs to try and feather the... I would say, instead of standing on the throttle and releasing the clutch, he needs to just try and slowly let the clutch out. Go to about 30% off a line. So just get the clutch out ever so slightly. Get the revs up. And then once you've got the clutch slightly out, you can actually jump it into 2nd gear quite easily. And that will also then stop any sort of wheel spin that will come out of it. So just bit of things coming out for the guys to learn, especially with single seaters. No traction control, no ABS, so you got to focus on what's going to work, much like the TCR cars. Very, very interesting cars. Easy to learn, hard to master, and well, let's be honest, you can bin these cars fairly hard, as a couple of drivers lit. Lewis Nokia saying Master of Disaster. So Lewis, is that now the new nickname coming for you? The Master of Disaster, the Professor of all disasters that may come through, including going and creating evil creations that will take over the sim racing scene? I think so. For anyone that doesn't want to know, wants to know what I'm looking, go and have a chat to Lewis. He's got some phenomenal ideas in the hat that he wishes to show off to everyone. So, Lewis, outing you out there, buddy, but you got some awesome stuff on the line. So go and have a chat to him. But Adendorff Machinery Mart going and being a series sponsor for this season's Raceface F4 as we head down to the grid. So, while we got this, Troy Dolanchik out in first place, followed by Julian Familiaris, Jason Coetzee, Luke Lucchesi, Tristan de Norbrugge, Adrian Thomas, Jan Fourie, Bego Hrobler, Paul Herber, Werner Skuma, Nico Killerman, Aiden Russell, Rulof Tillerman, Timothy Stanton, Werner Swart, Doug Herber, Janneman Price, Gabriel dos Santos, Jeff Hancock, Herman Lazarus, Christopher Bush, Etienne Swart, Kirk Lashhagen. In 23rd and 24th is Vainan Kursop. 24 cars starting on the line. And ladies and gentlemen, we're in for a race as we see Timothy Stanton on a beautiful photo of his face. I love some of these photos, guys showing off who they are. One day we'll like to actually get the cameras up and working that we can see them physically in the action, fighting it out. It's still something worked on, so don't go anywhere. There is a bit of practice going on for that. Gridding going on. Wait for the lights as we get ready to jump off the line for the very last time for Heat 1. Green flag, and away we go. Off to a flying start. Everyone battling it out. Troy Dolanchik getting a great run. He has got Julian Familiaris looking up on his inside. Jason Coetzee trying to make up a bit of ground. And Luke Lucchesi also getting involved into the fight. It does look like Jason drops off the circuit and now has to go and battle his way through. He's now falling way down the order. Andrew Thomas has got Luke Lucchesi all over the back of him as they break hard into turn 3. The RDSA cars all running line astern. The RDSA Esports having a great run out there. Fourie trying to look up on the inside. Jan Fourie now trying to keep Bego Hrobler at bay. Paul Herber trying to chase him down. But out in front is Julian Familiaris. Troy Dolanchik opening up the distance. And he has got Tristan de Norbrugge trying to close down and make a bit of ground as well. So keep an eye out on this as they fight and claw their way through. Julian Familiaris, though, out in front for the Durant Motorsports. He is trying to put an end to Troy Dolanchik's reign of winning. He won Heat 1. Now Julian Familiaris is looking to try and stop that from happening again as they make their way down the line in the tow. Clear line astern, 110 being the start of the race, which is insanely quick off of a reaction time as they put the power down side by side. Jan Gruber and Aiden Russell battling it out. So that's Bego Gruber trying to make a bit of ground, and I see Bego Gruber landing up off circuit. Let's see if we can go back a little bit and see what happened there. Bego Gruber on the outside, Aiden Russell on the inside. Contact between the two though. Hook of wheels and throw off. Bego Hrobler landing up into the weeds. Aiden Russell going and having his wheels hooked, and that's unfortunately gone and thrown him down the water. He was able to get going once again, but definitely not where you want to be. Julian Familiaris got Troy Dolanchik right onto the back of him. Tristan de Norbrugge and Luke Lucchesi are also gaining up a bit of ground. They're trying to close down the distance as they power their way through. Going to be completing lap 2. Moving on to lap 3. Luke Lucchesi, though, is keeping a little bit of an open gap, seeing the battles just ahead and seeing Andrew Thomas right behind him. Troy Dolanchik has got Julian Familiaris in tow. First and second, line astern. Now heading into the kink, into the sweep. Belling his way through. Now into Coca-Cola corner. Hard on the brakes. Julian locking it up, though. And Troy Dolanchik tried closing down the distance between them. A little bit further back, though, we do have some great racing going on. Werner Swart, he's got Gabriel dos Santos right up against the back of him. Gabriel going and pushing as hard as he can. So dos Santos not going to back down from this one. He's going to keep in the tow and try close down the distance. Doug Herber also in a bit of a race as he goes and sees Timothy running wide. Timothy now for Roland Mansfield Racing has got Doug Herber of Team Try Hard Orange getting past him. And Jeff Hancock's also following in suit. Jeff Hancock's going and battling out. Mr. Sended Hancock's not going to back down from this one. He is going to absolutely give it his all. And really going and doing it. On the side there, I've got to give notice. So he says Sended Jeff written on the side, which is a nickname he's earned over years and years of sending it. Timothy Stanton, though, dropping down. Etienne Swart now has got the likes of Yellowman Press right up his gearbox as he puts down the power, lining himself up, goes to the rear, side by side, now into the sweep. Etienne Swart trying to do everything he can. He will be on the outside line, comes off the throttle a little bit, allows Yellowman to get by, tries to go for a cutback, and no way to get past there. So definitely showing off. But interesting enough, though, let's pull up our gains on the circuit. Julian Familiaris up 1 position from where he started. Troy Dolenchik in 2nd place, trying to close down. He is down 1 position. Tristan de Norbriger up 2 positions. Luke Lucchese holding where he was. Andrew Thomas up 1 position. Jan Ferree up 1 position. Paul Herber up 2 positions. Down 5 positions is Jason Coetzee after coming off the circuit. Werner Swart up 6 places. Then you got Jeff Hancock. He is up 9 places from where he started. Up 3 places, Timothy Stanton. Up 5 places, Yellowman Price. Down 1 is Aiden Russell after his collision with Bago Krobler. 3rd place, 14th place and down 3 position, Nico Killerman. Herman Lazarus up 5 positions and has got Gabriel Santos all over the back of him, up 2 positions. Down 9 positions is likes of Bago Krobler. He's trying to close down the distance between them. Herman Lazarus, though, going defensive. He is keeping Gabriel at bay at the moment, and it's going to be a monstrous charge for them as they battle their way down to the line. Gabriel looking up on the inside of Herman and dives past him on the inside, getting it just right. And it does look like Bago Krobler, though, for the Hybrid Academy team. Oh, and it does look like there was collateral damage there. Christopher, though, saying thank you very much. He's going to get away with it in the Alfa Romeo colors. And unfortunately, Jeff Senden Hancock's falling way down the order. He landed up with a bit of a problem as they try and get going. So, some interesting action. Couple of guys running into some difficult situations. Back up to the front, though. Julian Familiaris now under pressure. Troy Dolenchik lining up on the inside. Gonna do everything he can. Sends it up on the inside. Julian trying to come back around the outside. And you can see Luke Lucchese trying to outbrake them as well. He's trying to get involved in this battle. Little squabble going on just ahead, side by side as they make their way into turn 2. Troy Dolenchik just losing out the position. The Sujin team now battling it out with Julian Familiaris of Durant Motorsport in that number 19 car. Luke Lucchese of RDSA Esports and Pantera Racing has got Tristan de Norbriger of RDSA Esports right behind him. Andrew Thomas of RDSA Esports right behind in 5th place. Jan Ferree in 6th, closing down the distance. Paul Herber is going and battling it out. Jason Coetzee in 8th, Werner Swart in 9th, Yellowman Price up into that top 10. That's all he wanted to do. He's got Gabriel Santos right behind him. Timothy Stanton closing down the distance. Roloff Tillerman, Bago Krobler. 15th is Christopher Busch, Jeff Hancock, Kurt Glashagen, Etienne Swart, Werner Skuman, all battling it out. Nico Killerman, Aiden Russell, Herman Lazarus, Vanon Kursop, and Doug Herber rounding out our field. And Andre Goes Racing, what a change from Aiden. I have to agree that Aiden going and having a lot more of a gentle approach in the GT cars, now going and stepping it up, and it seems like he's just starting to bare fangs a little bit more, and it's good to see the driver getting better and better, trying out something new. Unfortunately, luck wasn't on his side this time around for Heat 2 of the Raceface F4 Championship Season 1, brought to you by Raceface and Adendorff Machinery, Mart and Tools. But all in all, some great racing. Troy Dolenchik trying to open up the gap to Julian Familiaris. Luke Lucchese now closing down the distance as he does everything he can to make a bit of ground. But just taking a look, a bit of flare-ups on screen. This is Aiden Russell landing up with a bit of a problem. Under braking, tucks it in, gets on the power, goes out wide, off on the grass. Oh, unfortunately, no grip on the rear. Lights it up and has to wait for the guys to come by. And will have to try and get himself sorted out once again. So definitely not having a great time there. Actually going and backing it out to pits. Not worrying about any issues there. Doesn't want to interfere too much with the field. And taking a little bit... I've got to say, it's a hard one to call because you want to get yourself going at the same time. You can see where he's coming from. As long as he can keep it out, get back out on the track and go for that checkered flag, maximizing whatever point he can. That's what I want to see for all our drivers that have a difficult time. Just get back out there. Go cross that line. Go cross that checkered flag. Because honestly, you don't want to leave it where you've just thrown the towel in. You want to go there. You want to get that checkered flag. You want to see the line. Who knows? Maybe someone might have unfortunate luck compared to you. So, Paul Gerber, though, he is chasing down Johan Fourie, getting into the toe, doing everything he can to try and close down the distance. 1:03 being the lap time to beat, set by Troy Dolenchik. But Tristan of RDSA going and having a bit of fun. Tristan de Norbrigge really keeping into the toe of Luke Lucchesi, doing everything he can. Right behind him, Andrew Thomas, who is pulling himself along at this point, just ahead of likes of Johan Fourie. But it does look like Troy Dolenchik pulling away from Julian Familiaris as they battle their way through. I do apologize, stumbling over my words this evening. Sure, that orange juice definitely might have something in it. I do apologize to everyone out at home. Paul Gerber, he's going after Johan Fourie just ahead of him as they put the power down. Johan Fourie just putting a wheel on the dirt, keeping himself going, and just seeing Bago Krobler involved in another incident that's happened. And this is by himself by the looks of it, jacking up that rear. Might have side suspension damage by the looks of it. Gets on the grass, slides it round. Oh, trying to save it. Unfortunately, that catch into the wall is going to be hurting him. Thankfully, not too hard that's going to affect, but definitely has got his steering a little bit bent beyond something comfortable. Gabriel Dos Santos also involved in the incident. Let's take a look what happened to him. Putting his power through, he's closing down on Yellowman, runs a little bit wide, all looking okay, catches the dirt under braking and spins it out. Unfortunately, just losing that drive right at the last. So, as we head back up, Johan Fourie, Paul Gerber battling it out. They are having a monstrous run, and that's allowed Jason Coetzee to get right behind him. Jason Coetzee of RDSA Esports now getting in tow. He knows his teammates are ahead of him, doing a fantastic job. He wants to go and start joining the train, but he has got a problem. Paul Gerber's not going to back down with this, and Johan Fourie, who is the defending champion of the TCR Raceface Championship Series, he is really slugging it out. He's down in 6th place, keeping it consistent, keeping it mellow, but also keeping it yellow. Dad joke for the evening, done, dusted. I do apologize. Hit me up if you need to have any psychological... go and see anyone for any psychological problems. I do apologize to everyone at home. Side by side though, Paul Gerber has got Jason up on the inside. Beautiful side by side action. Paul trying to fight back from the outside line. Will he be able to do it? Trying to just give Jason a bit of a run. Jason having to correct and lock himself up a little bit as he cross arms his way around. But jumping onto the roll bar, you can see how frantic it is behind the steering wheel, with Paul Gerber just narrowly ahead of him, putting on the power as they slide their way around the circuit. Lifting off the throttle, Paul going and hooking it a little bit wide and losing a bit of drive. And that's allowed Jason to come back at him. Jason a little bit more at ease compared to Paul at the moment. Paul now keeping his power down. Slight lift over the hill though. That's going to lose him a little bit of drive. Dump into 3rd gear. Gets back on the power and is now on a proper charge to close down the distance. As we watch the guys really battle it out. Paul Gerber has got Jason Coetzee right onto the back of him. And it does look like Jason going and having a quick pass through the sweep. Gets it all together. Very, very difficult to get a pass like that. And we'll have to keep an eye on it. And as the guys make their way through, I see that Doug Gerber landed up in a world of hurt. Let's actually take a look what happened to Doug Gerber. So Doug Gerber has got a bit of a charge, making his way around the final corner. One of the cars going wide, and Doe hooking wheels on the pass, and there's Nico Killerman having a bit of a problem. He gets involved in the accident as our leaders come by, having to slow down, but not what you wanted to see. A little bit of netcode as well, as the cars could drive through one another, bit of ghosting. Not really what we like to see in the world of sim racing, but does happen. Julian Familiaris chasing down first place. Troy Dolenchik, Tristan de Norbrigge in 3rd place. Has got Andrew Thomas right behind him, closing down the distance. And it does look like Andrew is sick and tired of being behind Tristan de Norbrigge and is going to look for a pass. Tristan, on the other hand, saying, listen, I've just gone and been a bit of a spanner Spanner Monkey for the weekend. I want to go and have a bit of fun and go and get a little bit more pace. He's hoping to maintain that third place and go and stretch it out for the championship as they put the power down. As they slide their way through. Definitely having a great run at the moment. Proper side-by-side action as the guys take their way around the circuit. Jason Coetzee trying to close down the distance, but he has got a problem. Jan Fourie right behind him. Paul Gerber also giving chase at the moment. He's right up the rear gearbox and pushing as hard as he can to try get past Fourie at the moment. Fourie just keeping it all together. He's lost one position. He does not want to lose another as they battle their way around. Nearly the race going to be coming to a close. They have got roughly about 20 laps of racing in this 20-minute heat. So as we see the likes of Werner Kursop, he's actually beached himself into turn 1. As we see Troy Dolenchek, though, taking evasive maneuvers as he's having to avoid an accident just ahead of him. I think that was Werner Skuman and Kurt Glosshagen that came to blows with one another. Let's actually go and take a look. And there's Etienne Swart. Etienne getting an overtake, managing to, getting overtaken, managing to avoid the carnage just ahead of him. Guys pushing a little bit too hard and need to just try and give a little bit of breathing room to one another. Side-by-side action going for the teammates as Andrew Thomas getting past Tristan de Norbrugge. Tristan trying to come back at him. And now Jason's into the tow. Jason now trying to go around the outside as they look to go 4 wide. That's going to be a bit of a tricky one. Troy Dolenchek, though, is going to be loving this as they all battle their way through, locking it up and sliding their way through. Tristan Norbrugge just not able to keep ahead of Andrew Thomas. So he drops down into 4th place. Jason Coetzee, though, put up a monster of a fight. Fourie now having to get past one of the back markers. Has got Paul Gerber right behind him. So he doesn't want to get caught out too much at this point as he battles his way through. Fourie going up on the inside, getting it absolutely poised into the corners. And that has allowed Paul Gerber to go and battle his way around, sliding and trying to keep it all together. But the battle of the teammates is definitely one to keep an eye out for. Andrew Thomas and Tristan de Norbrugge not backing out between it. The RDSA esports drivers going and having a fantastic run out there. Jason Coetzee getting into the fight. He's also part of the RDSA team and really showing off what they can do. Oh, Tristan and Jason fighting it out like they're in the Formula 1600s, walking each other to the edges of the circuit as they slide their way through, though. Oh, Tristan locking it up, gets a spin, drops his way down. Paul Gerber says thank you very much as he has a chance to go at Fourie. Fourie locking up on the inside and getting Paul Gerber on the outside. Paul Gerber just losing that momentum, has got a problem as they fight their way around the circuit. Absolutely incredible stuff as the guys are doing a great run out there for all the drivers. And yes, there has been some difficult moments, that I can say, but a lot of the racing has been absolutely incredible out there, and that shows the level of talent for these drivers as they battle it out. But we do have to go and talk about the elephant in the room. There has been a few contacts left and right through the field. The guys having to try and figure out what they can do, especially for Heat 2 in the Raceface F4 Championship Series. Take a look. Jan Fourie has got Paul Gerber right onto the toe of him, doing everything he can to try and maintain a little bit more pace, a little bit of a hook of the curb, as Fourie managing to get past one of our back markers. Paul Gerber doing everything he can to just try and close down the distance at this point as they do everything they can. Tristan de Norbrugge trying to make a little bit of time. Werner Swart has got Jonathan Press trying to close down the distance. Timothy Stanton has got Jeff Sendit Hancox right behind him, also pushing as hard as he can to close down the distance. Etienne Swart in 12th place. Werner Skuman in 13th. 14th is Gabriel Dos Santos. Kurt Glosshagen. 15th is his position. Bago in 16th. 17th is Christopher Bosch. along with Herman Lazarus, Rolf Tillman, Doe Herber, Vanan Kursup, Luke Lucchese retiring out the car, Nico Killerman retiring, and so Aiden Russell also with a unfortunate retirement. So a couple of cars unfortunately retiring for Heat 2 of the Raceface F4 Championship Series, but I'm sure we'll see them back out and racing once again. Come round 2 a little bit later. As we said, this runs bi-weekly, so next week will be our TCRs. The following week will be the F4s on a little bit of a bigger track, being Laguna Seca versus the likes of Oran Park, which is a little bit more of a trickier track. Jan Free, though, and Paul Herbert, one of our closest battles out on circuit, along with Timothy Stanton, has got the likes of Jeff Hancock's right behind him. That's also incredibly close battle. Jeff, though, getting the drive out of the final corner, having to take evasive maneuvers side by side as they put the power down, looking into the sweep. Jeff gonna absolutely send it once again. Will he do it? Nope, backs out of this one as he gives Timothy a little bit more room to go. Timothy locking it up, though. So does Jeff, that inside left front, taking a major beating at this point as they put the power down. So it's something they've got to be so cautious of, especially with the likes of these cars. Side by side, Jan Ferree, Paul Gerber still going at one another as we're running into the last remaining parts of the race. But leading out is the likes of Troy Dolenchik, having a great run out there. Julian Familiaris trying to close down the distance. Andrew Thomas in third place. Fourth is Jason Kutsia at the moment. Jan Ferree, Paul Gerber, Tristan de Norbrugge, Werner Swart, Janneman Price, Timothy Stanton, Jeff Hancocks, Etienne Swart, Werner Skuman, Bego Krobler, Gabriel Dos Santos managing to get past Kurt, going and landing up in the weeds a little bit, Christopher Bosch, but ultimately checkered flag will be coming out for Troy Dolenchik, taking Heat 2 of the inaugural race of the Raceface F4 Championship. Second place going to Julian Familiaris. Andrew Thomas will be coming home in third place in Heat 2, getting ahead of his teammate Jason Kutsi, followed by Johan Ferree, narrowly keeping the distance away from Paul Gerber, taking 5th and 6th. Tristan de Norbrugge in 7th place after just having that unfortunate spin. Werner Swart in 8th. 9th going to Janneman Price at the moment. He just needs to keep it all the way down to the line and take a look. Timothy Sanson has got a problem. Jeff Hancock tries to go up on the inside, not able to make it stick just as yet as they put the power down and really sliding their way through. It's going to be an ultimate charge down to the line. Timothy not backing down, though. Jeff is going to have to try and pull a rabbit out of a hat in the last remaining little bit. Closes down the distance, tries to go around the outside, closes down on it, has to second guess it. Now it's into the final corner. Timothy just going and peeling ahead. Can Jeff get the drive? I think he just tapped the brakes, losing the drive. Timothy finishing out in 10th place. Jeff just out of the top 10, finishes in 11th place. Etienne Swart, Werner Skuman, Bego Krobler, Gabriel Dos Santos, Christopher Busch, Herman Lazarus will be coming across the line. He's in 17th position. Rilov Tilleman, Kurt Gloskin, followed by Doe Herber, Vanan Kursup, Luke Lucchese, Nico Killerman, and Aiden Russell taking the line. What a phenomenal run for the likes of our runners. Our absolutely phenomenal stuff. Side-by-side action. Troy Dolenchik and Julian Familiaris just going to give us a little bit of a tease on screen. And you know what? For that, guys, there we go. Let's just go and show it off for the Adendorff Machinery Mart. Round 1 done and dusted. Raceface F4s, Oran Park done and dusted. And we've got to give them a bit of a show as well. Oh, a little bit on the dirt. And it does look like Andrew Thomas. Sorry, that was Jason Kutsi going in, marching his way by. These guys are still duking it out like they're racing. Race is done and dusted, but why not? Oh, sideways for the likes of Julian Familiaris. Just losing out that little bit of drive. Janneman Price going to be coming across the line. But nose to tail at the end. Paul Gerber trying to keep it together. Oh, not what we want to see. But Julian Familiaris, oh, he's got Troy Dolenchik. They were having fun. And a little bit of a knock in the wall at the end. Fun sounds. Very fun sounds to have at the end. So, wow. What a race. What a race. Janneman, we got you back on air, buddy. Janneman, we got you back on air. I know we can just talk about everything that's gone on. It was an incredible run for our racers out there. Race 2 being a very interesting one. Troy Dolanchik taking first place for the Sujin team, having a great run out there, which is good to see. Julian Familiaris in second for Durant Motorsport. Andrew Thomas, Jason Coetzee, Jan Fourie, Paul Gerber, Tristan de Dorbrigger, Werner Swart, yourself in 9th position, Timothy Stanton, Jeff Hancock, Etienne Swart, Werner Skuman, Bego Krobler, Gabriel Santos, Christopher Bush, Herman Lazarus, Kurt Glashagen, Roelof Tullerman, and Doug Herber in 20th place. Going a little bit further down the points, further down the field, Vaynard Kursup, Luke Lucchesi, Nico Kellerman, and Aiden Russell rounding out our field here at Oran Park.
Yeah, Stephen, it went a lot better than the first race. I managed to avoid all the walls, managed to stay out of trouble mostly. There was one or two close calls, cars spinning out in front of me. But yeah, I managed to bring it home in 9th place, but it was by no means an easy race. A lot of concentration, and you already had one race behind you, so now you do heat 2, another 20 minutes of racing. It felt to me that I lost a bit of rhythm in the second race. I definitely lost a bit of lap time. I was in the 1 minute 4s previously, struggling to get down to those 1 minute 4s, mostly in the 1 minute 5s in the race.
Yeah, no, absolutely a huge amount of fun, and we're going to see if we can try and have a chat to a couple of the guys who have been out racing, get a bit of the feedback and thoughts with some really, really close racing. But for the Adendorff Machinery Mart, it's just phenomenal to see these F4s and being the inaugural season. We've got that massive prize on the line, that massive professional toolbox with some awesome tools in it. And I mean, that is worth thousands of rand, not hundreds, thousands, ladies and gentlemen, for guys to go racing for. It's definitely one to keep an eye out for. So, ladies and gentlemen, go and take a look to Adendorff Machinery Mart for all your needs. They have got it. It's pretty much a one-stop shop, in my opinion. If you need anything, and go and have a chat to all the guys. Tell them Raceface sent you. It's a bit of fun out there. And who knows, maybe you might get a special or two coming up. I know they've got some really good specials at the moment. But, gentlemen, with that being said, it does look like we're going to be missing a few people for the interviews. So, let's talk about what's coming up in the week. Tomorrow, Wednesday, round 2 for our GT3 Sprint Series Season 10 around Kota, 9th of August. Do not miss it, ladies and gentlemen. It's been some very close racing for our GT3 Sprint Series. Start with round 1, now off to Kota, heading over to America, Circuit of America, going and having a bit of fun out there. And with some GT3 racing, it's going to be one to keep an eye on the tires and fuel. Then moving on to our Grid Championship, round 1 will be starting this weekend. Our championship kind of looks all a bit muddled. We had to go and move up one week for the guys to go have a bit of fun. So round 1 will be Circuit of Americas on the 10th of August, and our Suzuka will be taking the place of round 8, and Bathurst will be round 7. So Suzuka will return towards the end of the championship. But looking forward to seeing what the guys can do in some GT3 action. That 1 hour, 20-minute race, 2 mandatory pit stops needed. And considering we just saw everyone have a whole lot of fun in the Cup race that we had last week for the Grid Cup that they had, going for that prize pool of 2,000 Rand. I think we're in for a bit of fun, and with some major news coming out from Raceface and Medal State for that championship, which I am not allowed to disclose at the moment because it's going to be a bit of a surprise. So keep an eye out on our social media for that one. Keep an eye out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for all that information, and also out on our Discord. And gentlemen, your thoughts onto that?
Absolutely awesome racing that still lies ahead this week, Stephen. We're only getting started tonight with iRacing. Tomorrow night, we're back with ACC with the Sprint Series. As you said, Thursday evening, first round of the grid. We all are waiting anxiously to find out what the big news is.
Yeah, well, we can't say anything now. It's going to be,
so you know what it is.
Well, you're going to have to find out on our social medias. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to have to find out on the social media, so keep an eye on that. That's happening on Thursday. Also to bring up, as round 2, we head to Montreal for our Automobilista 2 Raceface Championship in the F1 cars. 12th of August, go and keep an eye on that. Also being brought with a live stream. A big thank you and a big welcome to our new member of the live streaming team. That will be showing it off on the 12th of August. So be a part of it, ladies and gentlemen, for Automobilista 2 F1 at Montreal for some extremely close racing. Then we also have round 4 on the 15th of August. Our drivers will be heading over to Silverstone for our F1 2023 Raceface Championship, a championship risen from the ashes, and to come back to this. So keep an eye out for it. Hopefully, we will not see any silly matters that's gone on with 2 certain brands that landed up with 1 car in the wall many years ago. Let's hope that we don't get to see that same action happening. But what I can guarantee is some incredibly close, competent racing amongst everyone. They were racing tonight as well, and I can't wait to go through our recap where we get to see all of that information and action coming in and see who finished out in what position. Also, as we brought up on the 22nd of August, round 2, we'll be heading out to Laguna Seca. Our F4s will have a little bit more of an open circuit to go and have a bit more fun, and the guys are going to battle it out. The F4s around Laguna Seca is a huge amount of fun, and considering they're on the Laguna Seca fixed setup, which is made by Iracing, so you guys at home can go testing with the stuff and have a bit of fun out there. Go and see what lap times you can set. Let us know out on our Discord here at RaceFace.Pro. Gentlemen, you're going to be looking forward to that one where it's a little bit more open for a bit more closer racing.
Absolutely. You know, Oran Park is a very tight, twisty track. You need to get the flow of the track right. I think that one's going to be, it's still going to be a lot of close racing going on, Stephen, but I think we might have a little bit more room to maneuver, to put it that way.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of fun. So, also ending out on the 15th of August, round 2, our Raceface TCR Season 2 will be heading out to Laguna Seca, as we said, running on a bi-weekly. So next week will be our TCRs. Really looking forward to seeing what the guys will do. A little bit of setup work being done into those. You can actually take the fixed STO setup, which is made by iRacing, plunk it in, add a bit more juice in the car and go racing for the 20-minute heats. But also, it means that you can tinker around if you want to try and figure out how to get a little bit more grip with the cars. I know a couple of guys have been doing a little bit of work with it as well. But, gentlemen, in closing, what a time it has been for our Raceface F4 Championship Season 1, Round 1, 2 heats done and dusted. Was a little bit of an interesting race, a couple of guys having to come to blows with one another, unfortunately, but with Etienne Swart actually gaining 10 positions, so being the ultimate guy that gained it all. He finished up in 12th place, 10 positions up on where he started. That's also a good show of pace out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the guys will be able to do heading into round 2. But, gentlemen, your closing thoughts?
Oh, Stephen, I'm done after these 2 races. It was hard work, but very much looking forward to the next one. It's good to hear there was some awesome racing tonight. Guys climbing a lot of positions. I say on to the next F4 race. But next week, first we're going to do TCRs, and the rest of the week we're going to be on different sims than iRacing.
Yeah, going to Assetto Corsa Competizione, racing some GT3 action. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, make sure you take a look at our social media, RaceFace.Pro, out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also, go and like our stream if you liked it. Go and put a thumbs down if you didn't like it. And we always love to hear the feedback. Hit the subscribe button along with the bell notification icon so we get to go and on our climb for 1,000 subscribers. We're so close. My Christmas wish is to hit 1,000 subscribers. We're up to 926. Make a Christmas wish come true, ladies and gentlemen, please. And also join up on our Discord if you want to have a chat about just motorsport in general, or if you would like to participate in any of our championships, also go and have a chat to us there. Also head out to www.raceface.pro for all information of our championships and future upcoming championships. Also keep an eye out on our weekly recap that is gone and given by Yellowman and myself, which is out on Mondays. So go and take a look at it. Episode 2 has just aired, so definitely go take a look at that one. Bit of fun on that one. Bit of interesting banter as well for all the different championships. But, gentlemen, gotta say thank you very much for joining us, and well done for all the driving out there. A little bit different to what we usually do in our world of commentary, but yeah, gotta mix it up once in a while to have a bit of fun. Hence the odd wink in my picture. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we'll see you next time. So for everyone out there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.